Hi everyone, welcome back to The Shelves Have Eyes. I'm Phantom, and today I will be unboxing the Transformers Till All Are One Compendium Kickstarter set that just recently came in for me. It's a doozy. It's well worth the cost that I ended up paying for it. So, as you can see, we have the enormous box. This was, I believe I've heard it said it is 27 pounds. And it feels like it. This is a very heavy case. This is open. I cut it open and I took it out of its shipping container just to make sure that I had all of the pieces that I had ordered and the add-ons that I had indicated that I wanted. Let's get started with these, shall we? When you open up the case, this part was packed in cray paper, and these are all of the stretch goals and add-ons that I elected to purchase. Now, one thing that I feel it must be noted is I paid for the challenge coin, and I wasn't able to find it anywhere when I initially unpacked this. I opened this case because I thought perhaps this was inside. It was not. This was actually hidden shredded paper wrapping at the bottom of the shipping container. So for anyone else that received their rewards from this Kickstarter and was looking for their challenge coin, please look closely at the bottom of your shipping parcel, because that was where I found this. I'm very happy I have it. It was freaking me out initially to think that I did not, but I did find it, and here it is. Here we have the stretch goals from the initial series. Now, I elected to get the Autobot version of the compendiums. I did not have enough money to purchase both an Autobot and a Decepticon. These rewards reflect only the fact that I kickstarted the Autobot set. If I had done both, obviously it would have been double the money, and I would have received all of the other stretch goals that were unique to the Decepticon version of this set. So we have the Starscream Bumblebee bookmark, which is very nice. Darren Johnson? No. Andrew Wildman. Andrew Wildman art. You may recognize his art from the final quarter, I guess you would say, of the Marvel US run, although he was also illustrating the Marvel UK issues previously. It's very nice. Judging by the size of this compendium, I would guess that I will actually be using this bookmark, but let's move on. So we have a bookmark. We have the Transformers Kickstarter exclusive tech spec cards. And on the back we have Hasbro, Image, and Skybound. So how about we open this up and see what this is about. It actually does have a tear pull, so let's do that. And so here are the creator tech spec cards. One for Simon Furman and one for Bob Budiansky. And it functions exactly as the old 1980s tech spec cards function. So you have the decoder, and the back of both of these is a very nice half Autobot, half Decepticon logo. So it was really nice to get these. I'll get into my issues with both Simon Furman and Bob Budiansky when we actually get into the set, but it's nice that these tech specs cards were included. I'm going to put them back in their little sleeve, even though now I have broken the seal, and that is unsealable now. Next we have Kickstarter exclusive tech spec cards that are not the creators. So we will peel this. Ooh, okay, well that didn't go all the way. Okay, and here we have Coder, as always. So we have our Bumblebee, Optimus Prime, Ironhide, Omega Supreme, Hot Rod, Grimlock, Prowl, Metroplex, Fortress Maximus, Jazz, Mirage, Ultra Magnus, RC, Blaster, Rodimus Prime, Wheeljack, and Ratchet cards. So these also have the exact same, these are all Autobot insignias because this is the Autobot Tech Spec Pack. The Decepticon Tech Spec Pack comes exclusive to the Decepticon set. But these are very nice. I believe that these were stretch goals. So for each stretch goal landmark that was met, you got another Tech Spec card. And I believe that some of these were votes. So they let the fans decide who the next Tech Spec card would be of. So that's very nice. I like that a lot, in keeping with the tradition of the series. So we have the Autobot pin, very nice, cast in metal. Not as heavy as I would have expected, but perfectly fine. We have an Autobot patch, which is very nice. The other Kickstarter exclusive Tech Spec pack, and this one is of Jetfire. Oh, I'm sorry, this is not a stretch goal. This is if you were a Skybound insider. You signed up for the Skybound, I guess you would call it a reward program, fan club, however you want to phrase it. If your Skybound insider profile was attached to the same email that your Kickstarter was, you got this for free. So a nice little bonus for people that were Skybound insiders. They did warn you about that throughout the campaign, that if you were a insider, you should make sure that you get this. So that's very nice. A lot of tech specs. A very nice Autobot decal. And we have our package of Autobot lenticular lithographs. So this is Jazz, Grimlock. These are both by Andrew Wildman, I believe. We have a Starscream lithograph that is signed here down at the bottom. Very nice. I like Starscream, so that works out very well. So that was it for the Kickstarter rewards, and, you know, the one thing that I elected to buy by myself. Now, these last two are the exclusive reproductions of G1 issues. During the run, they told you that they would unlock these, and you could elect to buy an extra copy or a blank artwork version cover of the comic. So this even has it right here. Transformers number 5, full art variant. Open this up. Let's see how well their reproductions actually are, shall we? So here we have the full art reproduction of Transformers issue number 5, which is the always evocative and always referenced and always reproduced image of Shockwave. It loses something because it doesn't have a logo here saying the Transformers and then continued are all dead, but we'll leave that for the moment. It's in a very nice poly bag. Here on the back, we have the Kickstarter exclusive logo. And this is very nice. Gives you all of the credits. It is reproduced in a way that's actually really quite nice. It reproduces the colors very well. The paper is of the same material that the original comic was. I have the original comic. All told, it's very nice. I'm very happy to have bought it. Had it included. And then we have a little bit of a liner note from Bob Budiansky. So that's nice. Always nice to have that. I love that image. I love that issue. I have the original comic, so it's nice to have a copy that, while not A prestige copy is still a very nice collectible, and if I wanted to read this issue solo, I would probably read this one rather than my original. This one is Transformers reprint bundle. All right, so here we have the reprint bundle, and these were, I believe, stretch goals. So you have the Kickstarter exclusive number 5. This one actually has all the print on it, which is very nice. We have number 2, Transformers number 2, which is very nice. And then we have Transformers number 67, which is, I believe, illustrated by Jim Lee, which is so weird to think because Jim Lee is not an artist that you would really associate with Transformers. And, I mean, it looks very nice. This is the first time I've seen this cover, quite honestly. I believe maybe it was in my second Blokies video. I had said that growing up, there was a huge swath of Transformers Marvel US comics that I did not own, so I had not read. And number 67 definitely falls in that order. I remember having maybe a few issues past number 50, which was the end of the Underbase saga, the one with mechanized Starscream on the cover. And then it really just jumps right to maybe issue 75 through 80, and then into Generation 2. So I never had an opportunity to read the original Unicron story as it ran. I have since read it in humble bundles or reprints, etc. But it's nice to have this. These are very nice. So now that we've finished with everything else, all of the backer exclusives and all of the add-ons and all of the stretch goals, let's get to the main event. I'm actually going to have to go handheld here for a moment, simply because I don't have any kind of tripod or setup that gets me tall enough to actually show the entire box as I open. So like I said, I previously already opened this looking for the challenge coin, and it was not in there, but let's take a look. So, open up these wings, and there you have it. This is the Transformers Till All Are One Compendium Kickstarter exclusive Autobot set. It was packaged very well. You can see none of the corners have any kind of dimpling or crush. There's a little bit of plastic that's missing here, but I think I actually did that. You can see it right here. On one side, we have a very nice image of Optimus Prime by Darren Lynn Johnson. I can't remember who the artist for the Skybound Energon Universe comics is, but this is definitely his style. We have a very nice Autobot insignia right at the top. Now let's see if we can move this around one hand. Hold on a second. Let me take away the cardboard box. Okay, so we're back after having gotten rid of the packing box. So now I can maneuver this a little bit easier. So on one side we have a very nice, the Transformers original G1 logo. We have a very nice piece of art, also by Darren Lynn Johnson? Oh, I'm getting a Pontypool moment here. In any case, it's a picture of all the notable Autobots. I don't know why they would pick these particular Autobots, but that's fine. And then the same image on the other side. Now, it's important to note that if you were to purchase both Kickstarter versions, the Decepticon box set would have the opposing image of Megatron leading the Decepticons on the opposite side. I mean, I feel like that's pretty obvious, but whatever. How about we open this up? Shall we? All right, so here we are, and let's open this baby up, shall we? Did it the wrong way. And here we are. So we have the 4 compendium volumes, which comprise issue 1 of the Marvel US through issue 80 of the Marvel US, the entirety of the Marvel UK series, and Generation 2, all put into chronological order as they appeared. So I don't know if anyone needs this primer, so if you want to, I'll leave a chapter and you can skip to the next part, but I just want to explain exactly what that means. So, in England, comics are issued weekly. So you would have, every week, you would go down to the stands and you would buy your comic magazine. And every week, that would have a variety of stories in them, maybe, all of which were only like maybe 4 pages. So that in the month, that issue or that story would end and you would have a complete little storyline vignette. Obviously, with the Marvel US comics coming out monthly, that didn't really work very well, because each issue of the Marvel comic, US comic, essentially was just a single issue in England. Marvel UK decided, probably rightfully so, that in order to keep an uninterrupted experience, they would hire writers and artists, and they would create their own stories that fit in between Marvel issues. So that essentially, Marvel issue 1 comes out. That's week 1 of a month in England. And then, because that constitutes everything that you're going to get from the US, weeks 2 through 4 would need brand new original stories. And Simon Furman and the other writers of the Marvel UK line, essentially, they were aware of this from the start, and they began writing and illustrating stories for weeks 2, 3, and 4. And what that means is that for every Marvel US issue, there are several Marvel UK stories that fit in between. And really, there are a lot of storylines that are exclusive only to the UK. A lot of characters that really only appear in the UK. The UK really got the better version of the G1 comic because they had all of this extra material that the US never saw until reprints started hitting the market after the series had ended. By IDW, when IDW started running their classics or their timelines lines of reprints of UK stories, Marvel US readers kind of got the short end of the stick in that respect. So what this compendium does is brings together every single issue of the Marvel Transformers comic from both the US and the UK and places them in chronological order, so that the stories flow the way that they should have if you were reading, essentially, if you were reading it in the UK. And then eventually you get to Generation 2, which I'm not actually sure what the UK did with Generation 2. I don't know if they just made it monthly or what. I would have to look into that a little bit more. But yeah, essentially this is the first time a lot of these stories will ever be seen by US fans and collectors, and that is amazing. During the Kickstarter, you were given the choice between the regular compendium and the Til All Are One. The Til All Are One is the only version of this reprint series from the Kickstarter that intersperses the US with the UK stories. So it's the only one that's actually in chronological order. The regular compendium versions are all US, all UK, all US, all UK plus Generation 2. So this is really the only way to read the G1 Transformers comic from start to finish in the correct order. I'm fantastically excited about that. Okay, and if you're coming back to us now because you didn't want to hear me natter on about the difference between the Marvel US and Marvel UK comics, let's take a look at the volumes themselves. Oh, very heavy, enormous, very nice faux leather. I'm really, really impressed with this. I really love the holographic detail. It shimmers like an Energon cube. I mean, it's blue, not purple, but... And we can see here that it has a woven bookmark. So that's really nice. So let me push the box set backward. And let's take a look at the inside of these issues. So we have a very nice embossed image of Optimus Prime. G1 Optimus Prime from the comics. Looks like it's taken from the Transformers Universe illustration. And also it's one that was used initially in the comics at the... I don't even know what you call that. So we're going to open it up. We have a very nice Autobot logo on the inside. Introductory page. Each pages are broken up by Autobot Decepticon. The paper here is very nice. It's not glossy. I don't know if that makes any difference to people. It is a matte paper, and it is a matte image. That doesn't really bother me. I mean, the original comics were matte. The original comics were printed on newsprint, so. Colors are very nice. Colors pop. Nothing looks particularly too dark or light. Details are there. Here is a good example. You can see the difference between the UK illustration style and the US illustration style. So we get a little bit of that. We have some text stories that were included. So that's very nice. And yeah. Emmerich Zarin, essentially UK only character. So this is very nice. We got a very nice embossed Autobot logo along with the iris, the mechanical iris. And this is actually foil embossed in a much more scintillating red. So that's very nice. It sits flat. It opens very nicely. There is a little print inside with a poster of Optimus Prime and a little sign card by Bob Budiansky and Simon Furman that is not signed because I did not elect for that. The poster is the exact same image of Optimus Prime that was on the side of the box. So that's very nice. I'll probably keep that firmly ensconced in this volume and never take it out. It does come apart very well. It does lie flat, which is very nice. The gutter is a little difficult, especially in the middle of the book, because it is such a thick compendium style. But no, this is excellent. I mean, I read that they were going to try to make this as good of a version of these comics as we would ever see. Meaning that they would fix any typographical errors or art errors that were made unknowingly during the printing process. Apparently, according to what I have read, they tried to source the best versions they could find for each issue. But there are some issues that the best sources they could find were still in pretty bad shape. So during the scanning process, they tried to make them slightly better. I don't think that that's a deal breaker for anyone. But yes, this is pretty excellent, as a matter of fact. I'm really looking forward to getting into it. Getting stuck back into the world of the Transformers. Let me just see here. Where is the... It doesn't tell you. Okay. All right, down here at the very bottom of this page, you'll see the byline that simply says, originally published in single magazine format as The Transformers 1 through 23, The Transformers UK 9 through 21, 29 through 32, 41 through 50, etc. And it also includes a UK Annual, Transformers the Movie 1 through 3, and the Women's Day Special. So this is very nice, printed in China. Yes, I think that this is actually rather excellent. Aside from the notes that they made during the campaign, I feel like I would have appreciated liner notes about versions and coloration. Maybe that's just me, but like I would like a little liner note or footnote just stating this particular issue was in bad shape, this is what was done to it, etc. I mean, I'm certainly not going to knock anything that's going on here. This is excellent. Volume 2 has Bumblebee on the cover and the exact same logo on the back. There is a Megatron poster included in this one. And it is exactly... Oh! Turn to one of my favorite storylines, the Car Wash of Doom! And the death of Optimus Prime during the game. That's good. Those are really nice issues. So, Volume 3 has Jazz on the cover. And is there anything hiding in here? Yes, there is. It's a poster of the Autobot group shot that was on the side of the box. And Volume 4, which should have Grimlock? Yes, Grimlock. Grimlock is on the cover of this one. And is there anything in the back? Yes, there is. Oh, okay. So here's a poster of the Decepticon image from the side of the Decepticon box. So that's nice. So even if you bought only one, between these 4 compendium sets, they are giving you the art that was on the opposite box. So the Megatron image would replace the Optimus image, and we get the Decepticon side of the 2 forces facing each other. So that's very nice. It's very nice. I, for one, am really looking forward to getting through these, really reading them, because, like I said, I haven't read the Unicron saga probably in 15 or 20 years. I have never read almost any of the UK stories. The only UK story I've actually read within the last, let's say, 20 years, or really ever, was Target 2006, just because that was reprinted by IDW. So I'm really looking forward to this. Now, an important thing to note is the fact that after the printing was done, after they had made the compendium PDF files, or the compendium printing files, if you were a backer, they sent you downloadable PDFs of the compendiums that you kickstarted. So if you got the separated US UK stories, you would get those PDFs. And if you got the Til All Are One, you would get those PDFs. So they sent those out in September, I think. And I mean, their PDF files they're not the easiest to read. You can't just, you would have to convert them in order to load them onto like a Kindle or what have you. Or like comic book reader app. But even in PDF format, I opened them and I began reading them, and I was frankly quite surprised at the high level of not just the writing but the art in the UK stories. Now, UK comics has a much longer history in a lot more different genres for a lot more different audiences than American comics, the American comics industry. And I mean, Marvel is no different in this respect. It was quite frankly surprising to me, first of all, that the UK artists seem to have received their brief long before Bob Budiansky started writing it, or like concurrently, because their artwork heavily features the toy designs for characters. Brawn has his hook hands, his clamp hands. All of the characters look just like their toys. They are built the same way, and there is something very incongruous about seeing Gears, Brawn, Optimus Prime, all Megatron, all running around in comics pages in their toy forms. It's very strange. But you know what? Their art is actually of a much better quality than the US art. And the level of writing is much more sophisticated. I'm not taking anything away from Bob Budiansky. He wrote for an American audience. But it becomes very clear that the UK comic audience of presumably children, were being not necessarily held to a higher standard, but were given a much higher standard of story. There's just so much more involved in the UK stories. There's a whole story that I read in the early issues of the UK where the Ark's main computer is called Auntie. There are Centurion robots that guard the Ark, and Megatron somehow brainwashes one of them, or Shockwave does, and there's a nuclear weapon inside, and the Dinobots have to fight it, and Swoop supposedly dies. It was a lot more involved than it really had any right to be, and a lot better written than it had any right to be for, a weekly children's comic. So I'll be very interested to see how that works out. And I mean, Death's Head is going to be in these, and I know nothing about Death's Head. But this is going to be amazing. And I don't know about you guys, but for myself personally, I prefer sitting down in a chair with an actual physical book in my hand and reading it. Yeah, I have like the humble bundle of almost the entirety of the back end of IDW's Transformers comic series, including Unicron. And yeah, I can sit at my desk, read it on my computer with Comic Book Viewer or whatever kind of program you want to use. But there is nothing that simulates the actual feel of cracking open a book and going through the pages. And that is what I am the most excited about with this set. So I'm very happy. I think this was well worth the money, as outrageous as that cost was. As a fan of the Transformers comic, much more than I was of the show, because growing up, I had a lot more of the comics than I had VHS copies of the television series. I mean, my Transformers cartoon life was heavily dependent on mom and pop video stores and the FHE rental VHS copy cassettes. Like, I was lucky if I could find a copy of Transformers the movie, or I was lucky to find a copy of The Return of Optimus Prime. There were huge swaths of that cartoon that I never knew about until Rhino put out the actual season sets in the 2000s. So my big love of Transformers was predominantly given by the toys and the comic. And it's been a great year for the toys. We're getting some great toys this year. But I am probably the most excited for this, to sit down with some old friends and go through some stories that I have never heard before. Thank you very much for joining me for this unboxing of this absolutely titanic set. 30 pounds worth of comic and materials here. It blows my mind that we would ever get this. Now, somebody reprint all of IDW this way. IDW stopped at IDW Phase 3, Volume 3, like, finish the story in hardback. In any case, I'm sorry, that was a digression. It just makes me angry. Thank you very much for joining me. I hope that this was somewhat informative for people that either did not kickstart it or have been seeing the Transformers G1 comic compendiums showing up in their comic stores or on Amazon. Do people still go to comic stores anymore? My comic store that I have been going to since I was 8 years old for 34 years is closing this July after 40 years of being open. All by the same owner. I have known him since I was 8. I still have comics. I still have subscriptions there and things that he holds for me. I have to go before they close. Go to your local comic shop. Go to your local comic shop. Don't buy off Amazon. Go to your local comic shop. See if they've got these, if this interests you. My God. I don't know why the ending to this video has turned into such a wild digression. But in any case, thank you very much for listening to me ramble. And I hope that this has been informative. Let me know if you share my love for the G1 Marvel comic. What is your favorite issue? Did you grow up in England? Did you read the UK issues? What do you think of Simon Furman versus Bob Budiansky as a writer for the comics? You let me know in the comments. I love talking Transformers. I especially love talking Transformers comics. But yeah, thank you very much, Skybound, for actually making your way through the legal issues surrounding this so that we could actually get these comics printed in hardback, in actual hard copy, so I can pick it up and read it. Thank you very much. As always, I have been Phantom. This has been The Shelves Have Eyes. Have a good night, y'all.
Transformers, defenders of truth, robots who fight in disguise. Transformers, when the battle is through, only the strong will survive.